Welcome to Over the Back Fence. I'm Di Edwards.
I'm Nicola Dale, and we're buddies of nearly 4 decades. And yes, we actually do happen to share a back fence.
We do. We love parties, people, inspirational stories, and honestly, making the most out of life.
So join us as we open our hearts, share our stories, and hear from some of the most inspirational people in the world, and have a laugh along the way.
Yeah.
Enjoy. Well, I
know?
had the big family wedding when you were gone.
Yes,
too, which was
yes.
great. So
Tell me about it.
It was just gorgeous. So it was beautiful. It was just by this place, just by the water, and
This
sunny.
is your partner's son.
My partner's son and his beautiful, gorgeous wife. So we had, so it was great. So we had families blending, and then with my partner and so it was all blended families coming together, and it was one of those ones of just like love and joy, and when something just goes so well, it was heartfelt. And my partner's got a Down syndrome son, and I tell you what, I think actually I found a new bestie. Sorry, Didie. When Adam, he's Down syndrome, and I got to have the pleasure and privilege of spending time one-on-one with him.
How beautiful.
And just
I've seen him do the haka.
Oh, the haka. Well, that was great.
That's incredible.
That was great.
Really?
Well, that was a bit of the entertainment at the wedding too.
Did he do it at the wedding?
At the wedding.
Wow.
He did it 3 times at the wedding.
Oh, bless.
It was on special
okay,
request.
they all like this, I'll do it again. And one more time.
And he
I
did a
love
special Aussie version too at the end. He'd go Aussie, 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 oi, and the whole wedding party was go oi, 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 which was great.
Wow.
But just, and then I've got a cobber dog, Fred. So when he was back at the house, it'd be sort of like Adam, Fred the cobber dog, and myself would go for little bonding walks together.
Oh, that's lovely.
And I'm not kidding, they were like the happiest times. And just such special people, and talk about feel good. He makes you feel good, like I'd walk into the room and he'd go, oh la la, Nicola.
Are you kidding me?
Not kidding. Like that's what he'd be like.
All the men in the house take notes.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. I've never been given so many compliments in my life. I'd go, wow, that's
how
right.
fabulous.
So they're heading off to the Maldives, but Didie, it was just so special. And we had family, like you'd had sort of like the wedding earlier.
The week before,
we had family coming and everyone was staying, so it was madness and crazy and like OTT.
Yeah.
But it was just beautiful.
It's all about love.
It was about love.
And I think post-COVID, there was nothing really happening in that respect.
Wasn't it?
So it's all this catch-up, which is just beautiful. Because we're doing this podcast, it's all new and everything. We were sort of saying there's so many fascinating people coming up that we're going to be interviewing. I'm so excited. Our next guests, Mitch and Mark.
Woohoo.
I think most of you will recognise from the ever so popular television show, The Block. Mitch and Mark took on the largest renovation ever undertaken in the history of the TV show, a challenge that might defeat some. Their talent shone through with their loving innovations, their bond in their relationship, and their colourful zest for life. They've also renovated since 2005 over 20 properties, ranging from cosmetic changes to rip-outs, those rip-offs, rip-outs and rebuilds. They happen to be just over the back fence in our hood.
Yes.
Woohoo! Plus opening a divine interior store in Newport, just near where we live.
Love that store.
It's so fantastic.
My fave.
So many other adventures ahead for them. So let's hear all about that, and let's welcome the dynamic duo, Mitch and Mark.
Yeah.
Hello.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what an intro, Di. You guys.
They say it's my intros. Well, that's it. That's a wrap.
Yeah, that's a wrap. That's so not a wrap. So, so welcome to our fence over here. And we're all kind of locals because, we're Palm Beach and you're Newport. And
the fence between us and Palm Beach is Avalon.
Yes,
Avalon
we've got an Avalon fence.
That's true.
Yeah, not
Well, we
far.
won't hold that against the people from Avalon. I used to live there for 20 years. So
I actually lived there when I was a little, up until 6.
Oh, did you?
I didn't know
When there were koalas in the backyard.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep, there was.
It was amazing.
Koala at the end of our street.
The street, they had that koala crossing sign as
Yeah,
well.
love that.
Wow.
I was having a coffee this morning down in Newport,
As you do.
as you do, and you guys were closed. Your store was closed.
It wasn't open yet.
No,
opened
that's
It's
true.
very early.
We open at 10.
It was very early, and I looked in the window and I thought, there's not many stores you see a photo frame with palms on them, pillows on the bed with palms on them, a painting, I think it is, with palms on it, the wallpaper with palms on it, and I think there was palms on the actual lamp. And you know what?
Yes.
It works. And I thought, you've landed. It's beach chic and I love it. I actually love the store.
And throw in the odd monkey and, parrot and...
Yes,
and
on
a
the
bird.
lamps.
Birds and bees too. There's so many bloody bees.
Birds and bees.
And Mitch does all the bed making in the store, and he does do an
I
inspired
do
job.
themes.
I love
So,
it
yes.
though.
This week I was just
amazing.
obsessed with palms, so it's palms, but it won't be palms next week. It changes every
Oh, I
every
love
week.
that.
cool.
I love
Usually
Sometimes I need to stop him. He'll go, "Oh, you got to change the bed." It's like,
I
you
seriously,
did it 2
I
days
love it.
ago.
Let's give it a plug. Where's the shop in Newport and the name?
It's
And
Mitch and Mark home in Newport on Barrenjoey Road, just near the beach, and it's all about fun and colour, and it's really is a bit of a fuck you beige type of store.
No, it's not. Well, the fun thing that we do when people come into the store is sometimes people will come in trying to do, restyle a bedroom or a living room or something like that. And we will often say to people, bring in a cushion or bring in a photo or bring in a throw that you're trying to work into your decor, because then Mitch will restyle the bed around that theme and go, here's an example of what you can do.
It's actually
which is fun.
it's styling tips for free.
it
is true, though.
That is
Yeah.
true. Wow.
You can have a consult with Mitch for nothing.
Yeah, it's true. I love
Now, you
that.
guys are famous really from the block. That sort of like really sort of like skyrocketed you two. So how was that? Because you've been on it twice. Was it
And won
2019?
one
And
too.
then won the last
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Congrats, guys. I mean,
Block winners.
woohoo. Gosh, that is
it's that-
really impressive.
Well, it's the hardest thing you'll ever do, but we sort of really focused on enjoying the experience, because it can just be hard and horrible, but if you look for pockets of joy along the way and treat your partner with respect all the way through, because I think one of the things we see happen when people get under pressure is they turn on each other, but if you turn on each other, everything falls apart. So we found that we would recognise when one of us was struggling and the other one would sort of pick the other one up and make sure you got through, because as a team you can be much stronger than when you're divided.
Yeah, it's true. I think when you look at the block, watching the block, aside from all the design stuff, which does influence people's choices, the pink marble tiles that Mitch chose for the bathroom in the house, the wedding house we did, I think within a week or 2 weeks of that going to air, they were sold out across the country.
Wow.
So it does influence
Go,
people's
Mitch.
choices.
Yeah.
And it was a last minute decision,
beige.
wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I think it's about fun, but it's also having a common link. I think you have to be focused on building a house rather than building a room at a time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you end up with a totally
Look
disjointed
at the big
home.
picture,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah.
You have to look at the total way that somebody lives in a space. So on the block, outside of thinking about colours and cushions and design, you actually have to start with, how do people live in a space? Who is the person we think will buy this house? And what are the spaces they would need?
But you know what I love too is that just your comment on how you support one another. So with this show, it's more than just when you're saying designs and whatever.
It's true.
It's that respect and partnership together, which sort of like crosses over so many different
And
things.
you know, the sad thing about the block is that, as the guys were just saying, is that what you witness with some of these couples, the bitching and, it's just so ugly what goes on, and it has a ripple effect, and you see it fall apart in their renovations. As Nicola was just saying, like, you guys you come from a very solid front, and you take that, as you said, we look at the big picture constructively and calmly.
I think that's a really good point.
I'm so calm.
He's so calm. he's not. He's so not
the little
calm.
flick and the hair's still happening in the morning. It looks good.
He's so reactive. But when you look at the block, watching the block as a show, the psychology of how you pull a team together and get the work done, and how you as a couple work, that's what I find really fascinating about the block. So the block is a really good representation of how people operate. And we had, in our first season, we had some of the other contestants say, oh, if you're not arguing, then you don't have a really good relationship. And it's like, well, actually, we choose not to abuse each other. We choose to say, we're not going to call each other names because we want to be with each other. So, one couple said to you one night, "Oh, we've just had a big row. We've called each other all the words under the sun and we feel better." And Mitch and I were like, "Really?" I don't think that's how you operate as a solid couple, because I would never call Mitch those names. In fact, we have never done that in nearly 20 years.
So you're right, it's
ever.
life skills.
It's a really great life skill. And I tell you what,
it's a choice.
It
And
seems
renovating is very stressful. I
very
find.
stressful. But I think here it is that you ended up becoming winners in the last one, and I think that just sort of shines through. Then obviously your designs and the pink marble, tiles and everything. But it's also, I think, that the way you are together. And I think that's it really is. It's sort of like, bravo, we need more, because I've heard that too. There's not a crossword between you two.
Yeah, like occasionally we might have difference of opinions, but then we just realise that in the end you need to come together and make sure Mark understands that I was right.
Number one.
Yeah.
And you agree with that, Mark, too. But Mark, what's your background?
Yes.
Have you got a bit of psychology?
Well, my background, was psychology. So I went to uni and did an honours degree in psychology centuries ago. And before the blog, I'm
a 19-year case study.
He's been a case study. But, I spent a lot of years working with people more in a kind of organisational psych area and personal injury and disability. So I probably have seen a whole lot of things from a whole lot of different perspectives. Yes. And a lot of people have said to me, having watched on the block, particularly the last season, they said, "You're so calm." It's like, well, I'm not inside, I have to tell you, in here. But I guess I've learnt those skills over time. I've dealt with a lot of conflict, a lot of distressing things, and you just breathe, think through it, try to be empathic or, link into what somebody's
He likes
feeling.
using big words. Was empathic.
Well, I'll tell you what, they're really good tips for all of us.
Complementing each other too, aren't they? With their individual skills. And Mitch is, after the palms this morning, on fire. And then you've got Mark with these wonderful sort of very grounded tools and management.
God, aren't they just?
They're just
lovely.
amazing.
And they're the cutest couple I think
Beautiful.
I've ever seen.
It's a gorgeous flow. I think it's a great influence for those listeners. It's more than, yes, people are recognising them from the block, but there's actually more to this story than meets the eye. When you're talking about their relationship, I've just learnt a few things there myself too. And I think in life we all do need to stop, don't we, and have a deep breath and rethink it, rejig it, rather than just react like you've noticed on the block with so many people that I've witnessed. And it upsets me, actually. I still watch it though.
Yeah, and
It's us two.
what was there any sort of real behind the scenes goss that sort of you could sort of spill a little bit with us? I don't know, any extra drama that just didn't actually make the
From the
scene.
block
No, drama for our last one was poor Tanya and Vito. There was a cheating scandal and a lie, and poor Tanya dug herself such a hole that could not see any way out, and I suppose the learning from that is that if you're in a bind, if you are honest, it'll save you in the long run. Tanya went through a hell of a time and copped a whole barrage of nastiness and trolling. She's a good person.
Yes.
She's a good person who made a mistake in front of the nation and in front of the world, because that show goes everywhere. And it was just a really tough thing to watch and see her recover from. She's good now, and it was horrible for her.
And we all make mistakes. I think the thing to take from that, and looking at the block, it's very easy to sit and make judgment about that's wrong. Are you so perfect that you want to judge that person? That person made a mistake, and we all make mistakes. It's about being a human being. And do you want to see somebody fall apart? No, you don't. No. Well, I hope you don't. And the thing I've found frustrating sometimes when I watch some reality shows, and you just mentioned one of the terms people throw around these days, they'd love to throw around, I owned it. What does that actually mean?
I know. I was a piece of shit and I was horrible, but I own it, so it's okay. It's not okay.
Just a shit, and I'm owning it.
It's true.
That stuff gets me. It's like, I own it is the byline to say I don't have to take responsibility for looking internally at myself about what drove that behaviour and why I said what I said or did what I did, because we're all human, but some self-reflection is important, and then take responsibility for the impact it has on others.
I think you can make a fortune just counselling all the people
I tell you
on
what,
the block.
can we book in every week? Because I want to have counselling sessions.
Duck into the toilet here. Let's have a
seriously.
chat.
But I'd have to say, have you heard How They Met? I think it's one of the best sliding
No, hit me
doors
with it, I
moments
don't.
I've ever heard. Can
Oh,
you?
I
I don't
wanna
know
hear
whether who's going
it.
to say it. Is it going to be Mitch?
It's romantic.
We met in a classic Sydney iconic gay bar, Stonewall, and shout out to Stonewall because they are the nicest people that run that pub. I was in there on an exit date, because exit dates are when you decide it's not going to work, so you exit.
I haven't heard
it's
that
a
one,
whole-
right?
A whole other story. There's a whole other
Okay,
history there.
It's the next podcast.
Yeah.
Mark was walking past, hadn't been in there for years, and decided to walk in.
Well, I walked past the
doors.
past the bar
What's this?
going home, because at that time I lived in
My
Elizabeth
scent
Bay.
was going out there.
And you know, it's bizarre. I actually walked up to the lights at Taylor Square, which is, you know, another building or two beyond the bar, and I turned around and walked back in. If I'd kept walking, we would never have met. And because we never really hung out in the same sort of areas or had friends in common, so I walked into the bar, grabbed a drink, stood in the corner as you do, and looked over at the bar, and there was these two people pointing at me. And I'm like, this is very uncomfortable. So I just kind of waved like, hello.
You didn't jump so hard. Of course they're pointing at me.
Oh, no.
So,
Humble
No.
for that.
No.
so when Mark waved, I wandered over to say hi. I saw you waving at me, and he said, "Well, you were pointing. I didn't know what else to do."
You're waving at me.
What do you do? And then his weirdest comment.
I've been looking forward to meeting you, which was not a pickup line. And so when I met Mark, I thought, oh my God, he's sort of
Manifesting it.
like-minded, my age. Within 5 minutes, I said, I've been looking forward to meeting you. And Mark said,
that's beautiful.
No, I should
and
have
Mark said, weird.
I actually love that.
I love
Might
that
use
too.
that line.
And was it
Looking
really
forward
then
to
love at
meeting
first sight?
Well, we've been together ever since.
Which
Yeah.
is how long?
19 years.
Oh, that's great innings. Yeah,
Yes.
That really is
And you know
incredible.
what? As I was saying previously, like in all the renos I've done, which isn't many, but the few I have, oh my God, the stress. It's just beyond. And over that period of time, you've done 20 odd renos,
Yeah.
fit
That's
outs and whatever.
amazing.
I mean, for those that are listening right now that are possibly planning on renovating eventually when the interest rates go down a bit, what sort of advice can you give to those that are, okay, let's just say they're not knocking down the house, they're renovating. Where would you start?
It's big picture, but it's also about what's the intent. Is it a forever home? Is it to
What's
to
it going to
sell-
mean to you, that house? Yeah.
Is
It's
it-
not a
is it gonna-
flip. They're going to live in it, say.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if it's a home that you want to be in forever, which is people generally aren't in them forever, but you build it to suit yourself. I think you build a home to suit yourself if you're going to be in there long term, but also you've always got to be mindful of, will it be something that's saleable? Because most people don't stay in a home forever, even if they think it's their forever home.
Yeah.
So you have to be mindful of, for instance, if you've got a 4-bedroom home and you want a huge wardrobe, so you decide to make it a 3-bedroom home with a huge wardrobe, what's the impact of losing a bedroom going to have when you try to sell that house? If it's a 4-bedroom market that you're living in,
Yeah.
you've then all of a sudden got a 3-bedroom home in a 4-bedroom home area. Regardless
But your
of
clothes
that-
are happy.
I know. And,
Nick
and
and
that-
I'll be happy. Yeah.
Big
'Cause we're-
wardrobe, please.
Yeah.
Well, we're
But
having
if
that
you-
debate
if you-
now.
But if you have a house where you're going, I'm going to live in this for 20 years, your
Yeah.
decision about how you reconfigure the space may be very different than if you're saying, this is my home and I have young children, and when they grow up, then we're going to move on to another home. So the house that you have when you have a younger family or teenage kids is very different to the house that you have when the kids have flown the coop. So I think to me, it's look at the lifestyle that you want.
Yeah.
Mitch and I, it's interesting we asked this because Mitch and I are currently filming and hosting Location.
Wow, so you
Australia.
could tell us about that too.
And so we are talking to couples exactly about
Oh,
this.
really?
Wow.
Yeah.
When they're
That's
looking.
exciting.
Because I think it's important because I have to be honest, a lot of people gung-ho rush into renos rather
Yes.
than...
Well, they can
like,
overcapitalise so much.
Oh, absolutely.
They
We
get
would-
carried away, yeah.
Yeah,
The
we would
budget,
reckon-
I imagine, is a big deal.
budget is. I would be saying to anyone, if you're in a home, get in the home and live in it first to work out really how you use the space.
I really think that's look at the big picture. Live in it. My husband's in my ex-husband, but of 34 years in real estate.
Everyone's got those, Del.
Oh, we're normal.
I've joined the club.
But it's interesting. He used to say that how many people would buy houses, and he was always fascinated how people would renovate it, like buy the house, renovate it, and then move in, and a year later they'd re-renovate it. You know, I think what you just said was vital, because live in it, feel the space, feel the energy. How's it going to work for you?
One thing we do find is, particularly now we're filming location, Australia,
Yeah.
hosted by Mitch and Mark. Oh my God, it's a plug. One thing we're finding about that is that couples might have one child and they will want to have another child. They think they'll have another child further down the track or whatever, but they're looking for a home. They want to get their forever home. And which my view is, guys, at this stage, you're early 30s or whatever, by the time you're 40, you'll probably be in a different financial situation than you are now. Sure. So why lock yourself into a home that you want to try and make forever, and then you'll try and manipulate that house to be something that it wasn't when you bought it, as far as tacking on rooms or whatever. My view is, buy a house that works for you now within your budget, and be realistic about your budget. People have illusions of grandeur to a certain extent, where they want all these things in a home, and they keep missing out on homes. Yep. The reason you're missing out on homes is because you can't afford them.
Right.
Yeah. Mitch and I, the first property we ever bought together, you know, it was probably the last one on our search. We were going through a whole lot of properties, and this one kept coming up, and it wasn't one that we preferred. But we got to a point where it came in within the budget we needed. We knew that we wanted to flip it, like all those things. And it's kind of like you just have to suck it up, take little steps.
So you give that advice for someone like, you know, say even our children who is at the situation now that are trying to get in, but they're saying, Mum, I don't think that I can even afford it now. But do you still think it is just to get in a first step, a place sort of somewhere that really mightn't be in the suburbs that they want to do? It mightn't be the place that they want, but just to, if they can
start
get
somewhere.
Start somewhere.
Yes. For your beautiful daughter,
yes.
If at this stage in life she probably sees an apartment she visualises herself in, but probably not the one she can afford.
Yes.
But in some ways, if she can scrape into a studio apartment, by the time she's then life changes, she can afford more, she'll be with the market. Whereas if she thinks, oh well, I'll save for another 2 years before I can afford what I want, what she wants has all of a sudden shifted. So you're still out of the market, and then then she'll be back with a studio apartment in 2 years' time.
Well, thank you for that tip, because I'm telling it to her and I'm telling it to my son. It's quite funny because they both took with the empty nesters. Yeah. Now they're moving back for a while to save money to buy that next place. So maybe I can have it with them, not have to move back in again, and I'll just buy their place.
Better tip for the parents is, buy a smaller house as soon as they move out.
I bought an apartment. They'll still squash in. Now, we've talked about location. Can you tell us, what are we going to expect from it?
Yeah.
We're both excited.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, we're filming Sydney, Brisbane, Melbourne, Adelaide. And it's regardless of what we're hearing about interest rates are holding the market back, the market is growing. The market's continuing to increase, and we're encouraging people to get in and not hold back, because you can't save money as quickly as the market grows.
And you're also going to see on the show, like, you know, couples and families and people who are really seriously wanting to get into the market, and for whatever reason they've had maybe some challenges. So Mitch and I team up with those couples. So he takes somebody, I take somebody, and we see which one of us actually can find the perfect property. And we show people a whole lot of different options. So some tips, some
tears,
Oh, we love tears.
Some laughter.
There has to be a bit of drama.
Great for the ratings, darling. Great for the rating.
We are showing real properties in real time. These are properties that are on the market. They are for sale. They are going to auction. We do talk to real estate agents. There are offers made. There is real time. We pick up phones and we negotiate with real estate. So people watching it will also get to see some of the ways that we've worked with real estate agents to be able to get into the market.
And it's so much fun.
It's
We're having so much fun with it.
I think you could have fun in a gutter. Mitch.
Been there, doll.
Is that where I saw you last?
And we're back at Stonewall again. Right?
And all the grandchildren, how many are there?
5.
Five.
So how does it go with
Wow.
blended families? Because, I mean, that's sort
Yeah.
of like a lifestyle change, really, isn't it? I
Yeah,
suppose
it's
for
good.
you.
Well, it's
It's
kind of
fun.
when I met Mitch, I had never thought about having kids. Well, it was never probably a reality growing up, through the 70s and 80s. That was never part of being as a gay man. That was just not on your radar.
Yeah.
And when I met Mitch and then found out that there were children, I'd come from a family that had been divorced. So I understood the importance of the step-parent relationship and the respect that you need to show to the parents and the kids. Your role is very different. So it's been, I guess I've been very lucky, to have the ups and downs.
I think they're very lucky to have you
ups and
too.
downs.
I was just going to say the same thing too. I talk
I'd
about
love you too as
pearls
grandparents.
of wind. I tell you, I think I've heard something about you, Mitch, too. I have heard that you make a mean breakfast, a bit of a good old
Yes.
bacon
I
and
love-
eggs at the Newport home. I've had some inside gossip
I
there
love
about you.
breakfast.
And you're
To
a bit of a
me-
chef.
Well, I worked around. I was in marketing communications for many years around the food industry.
Right.
So I've been privileged to work very closely with a lot of the chefs. One thing I picked up is that simple food cooked well is one of the best things. And big breakfast with bacon and eggs and avocados and
Yum, I'm hungry.
and tomatoes.
No.
That's a daily routine for us. I like
We're
to have
daily.
That is so
You
good.
bacon
Yes.
every morning.
Yeah, pretty much. But if you're having bacon, one thing I could give you a tip, because I worked with Australian pork, as in get some pork in your fork for 18 years.
Yeah.
What hasn't
Do
he
you,
done?
do you know that majority of the bacon and ham we buy in Australia is made from imported pork? So if you want to support Aussie farmers,
Absolutely.
look for the more than 90% Australian ingredients.
And
There's a tip you didn't expect.
Wow.
we love
Yeah,
it.
that's
It's a great tip, but what's fabulous about Mitch having worked in the industry was his passion for Australian farmers.
Yeah.
Oh,
like
that's so good.
he did an amazing job with the marketing of that product and transforming it. But his passion was about how do we support Australian farmers.
I love Australian produce.
So was that yours?
Yeah.
That pork on your fork? Was it?
I claim it.
Oh, that's
You
the
did
best.
not. Are you
Wow,
serious?
you are the man. I said,
Well, I said I-
That's so
We
catchy.
claimed it.
Dying to ask you this question. I can't help it, but because
Uh-oh.
I know I do, I get really attached to houses. Have you ever thought back and gone, oh, I really, really am like attached to that house, whether it romantically or just memories or energy, or we put so much love and energy into it, and so I feel like it's still mine. Is there any houses where look at you both have to think about it, like
Well,
not even a
there's-
residue, but just something that had an effect on you that you go, I miss it.
Well, there's one that we had in a building called the Alarm, which is next to the Coke sign building in
In the cross,
Potts Point,
yeah.
that we was on a high level north-east facing
Level
with
34.
level 34, which had the best harbour and opera house and bridge views right out to the heads. That view was amazing, but mind you, now we're at Newport, we're overlooking the ocean towards the city. So that was special, but it was also in the location. It's pretty central location there, so we always had a house full of people there.
Right.
Because people,
Yes.
and we've
So
always
it's
had a
memories, I guess,
Yeah.
is the word.
We've always had an open house
Yeah.
policy.
My house in Avalon, I miss it so much.
oh,
Mitch and I always approached when we were doing properties, we always said, if everything falls apart tomorrow, if everything, markets crashed, and we did sell a property during the GFC, and that was interesting. But we always had the philosophy that if we had to live in a studio apartment together, we
can
could
do it.
because it was about us.
I think
Yeah.
that's so important because
That
you
was-
hear also when, you see it's terrible with the bushfires or floods and Lismore and whole communities, their whole houses
Yes.
Exactly.
have been
Floating
ruined
away.
and fires been burnt down. But if they have one another, and I know it sort of sounds really
True,
corny,
though.
but or the animals.
And I was going to say the family dog.
Yeah,
it's
the
so
family
true.
dog.
Yeah.
That's when it comes down to go,
It is.
like a house is a home, but you have to put
Yeah.
it into sort of
A
perspective.
house is not a home.
Oh, we've got a
But-
singer
Ooh,
here.
you've got to sing.
I want to know who gets the surfboard out at Newport.
Well, no body surfers, but the Northern Beaches, we bought this place as a potential beach house not to live in or reno and flip. never planned to live outside the city because we've lived in the city forever. And we were shocked when we moved in for 2 weeks to get a feel for it, that we just fell in love with this area. It's just so chilled. It's like old Byron.
I believe that. I mean,
that's so lovely to hear.
When you start to go for your walks around town or whatever, or bushwalks, whatever, you pass people and they say hi. Yeah. And when we first came, I thought, what do they want? Shit, they're just friendly.
When you greet someone, you're walking, because Nicola and I do a lot of walks up there.
We do. Yeah, hi.
It's not, don't talk to them, they're like, whatever, you know. It's just, it's beautiful. I mean, you're great to hear this. You feel it.
Yeah, it is. It's great.
Oh, we love it. We love it.
I'm so happy.
Yeah. Mitch and I still love the city vibe. We just
Yes.
go in, you know, we've bumped into you guys. Love the city vibe, but we had
And I've seen
so
these
lucky.
guys, I have to say, on the red carpet. And I tell you what, I think there's not a better dressed couple than these two. Seriously.
Thank you.
Who, I mean, you're both fashionistas, but is one bit more with the fashion? Does one dress the other one up, or?
I'm obsessed.
No,
I
Mitch
was
is,
going to say,
Mitch is
let's be honest, it's Mitch-a-rooney.
It's Mitch.
But generally, well, most clothes we wear, and particularly on the red carpet, they're always our designs. We've got a fashion range in our store.
Yes.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
I think we have fun, and a lot of people we've said, you know, we can say you're 60, I'm 61, so
the best thing about being good at your age is loving yourself for who you are.
But there's also a sense of freedom, and I also think it's like, don't give up. You know, don't go, oh, I'm 60, I can't do that. You can. Mitch and I are the oldest people ever to have done the block, ever. Even any of the
I love
contestants
that.
who went
It's
before.
just such an inspiration.
Yeah.
We're older than anyone. And when we did the
Most
second
capable.
block, we went into the gym and went, we just need to strengthen up our backs. It's like, you can do it. You don't have to go in and jump in and do something crazy, but build up and don't give up.
It's permission.
Yes.
Permission to just be whoever you are.
Yeah.
And if you forget
love
somebody,
getting older.
or if you don't recognise somebody, when they come say hi, remember we met, and you don't recognise them, you're allowed to say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm 60, I don't remember things.
Or you could say, I'm 60, fuck off.
But we don't do that in
You can
Newport.
do
Remember,
it.
we smile and say
do
good
it.
morning.
Smile, yeah. No, it's a gift. I look, like
Just
even my son
kick-starting,
said the
aren't
other
we?
day, Mum, you look younger now than what you did when you were younger. Does that make sense? Like, I went, what? He went, I said, Peter, that's the most beautiful compliment.
Yeah. It's a great compliment, because what they're seeing is the essence of who you are in enjoying life and having fun.
Well,
You haven't given up.
Talking
And
about age too, I think now we've
I
got our
agree.
signature questions. What you were saying there, Mark and Mitch, with feeling free and with age, our question is to you both. What advice would you give to your former 20-year-old self?
My advice would be, it's all going to be okay, and be honest with yourself. It's all going to be okay, be honest with yourself. And remember, when you think you don't look so great, in 10 years' time, you'll get to the stage where you think, oh shit, I look way better than I thought I did.
That's brilliant.
That's
is
a
really
good
good
one.
advice.
And Michael Doodle
Yeah.
Dandy, what's your little take
Oh,
on that
no,
one?
my life is so different than what I expected when I was 20. I mean, my God, I grew up in Adelaide, and if anybody had said at 20 that I would be doing this at 60, it would have been completely out of the
like
realms.
someone would laugh. Yeah,
I
get it.
was like, there's
Yeah.
no way. So
Yeah.
I probably would go back and just go, don't be so afraid. Don't be so scared.
Love that.
It's a
Yeah.
good
Love
tip
that.
too, isn't it?
I've got to ask another question now, and I'm just taking all that in. Okie dokie. If you had an opportunity, let's put it, both of you can both throw it back at me, of meeting anybody in the world over the back fence, anybody,
Meeting.
what would you
Ooh.
say? Who would it be, A, and lastly, why would it be that person?
Well, over the back fence, we've got neighbours, Jeff and Flick, who are the best neighbours we could ever hope for.
Yeah.
We travel a lot, so we've always got house sitters coming in. So they check on our house sitters whenever we're away.
Oh, lovely.
They are the best neighbours we could ever hope for.
Oh, my
So I
gosh.
don't want to see anyone.
Not Bette
over-
Midler, no, the actual neighbours. I'm loving
that's
this.
just
I want to keep them as our neighbours. So I
No,
suppose-
I do love that.
Oh,
That was
they're-
beautiful. We haven't heard anyone say the actual neighbours yet.
No, they are.
So that's
They-
impressive. But look at these two, though. They're so bloody
They,
fine.
our other friend, Jason and Terry. Jason, who people would have seen, we met on the block, our builder on the block. sliding doors. We never knew this man, and we would never have mixed in the same circles. He is and his wife and family are best friends of ours. So they holidayed. We were in Europe with them. They come up here. We are just so fortunate to meet them.
Oh, my goodness.
How gorgeous is that?
We're very lucky.
You know what? I suppose when I think about who I'd like to meet, the people we have met and that we're involved with, I've met all the people I really, really want to know, but I don't know who we're going to meet next, who will be that next special person.
Right.
So whoever that next special person is, I can't wait to meet them.
Wow. Well, look,
I'm excited.
You have just been
beautiful.
So wonderful coming to Outback
Love
Fence.
you both. I was window shopping this morning.
All the best for location.
Love you both.
You.
I love you
Yeah.
both.
Yeah, love you both.
Yeah, you
know,
really
are.
inspire us.
You inspire us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Well, guys, we look forward to joining us at the back fence next Monday.
Yeah, so tell your friends, rate and review. How many stars do we want, Dodie?
25, and even though it only says 4.
I think it says 4 or 5 stars. Because really, I'm just learning, but that's really the only way that community
Spread the
grows and
word.
spread the word.
Yeah,
So share
it's
the
true.
potty to friends,
That's what it's all about.
and thank you for
Share it.
listening.
And look forward to chatting with you on Monday. Ciao.
Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.